Started. Welcome again. Thanks for joining us today at our info session for the doctoral program in educational leadership for social justice at Loyola Marymount University. We're so excited to talk to you about the program today and have a little presentation that we'll walk through first, and then we'll have lots of time for questions and answers. So if you have questions for us, we'll be happy to try and answer those questions towards the end of our time together. So we'll just ask you to hold on to those for just a few minutes. To begin, let me do some introductions. My name is Becky Stevenson. I'm the director of the doctoral program. I'm joined here today by Michaela Cooper, who is our assistant director of the program, and Leticia Strada, sorry, Leticia, forgot your last name for a second, who is our wonderful enrollment management assistant who's here to help us answer any questions we have about the admissions process. So the three of us today will be telling you about the program and doing some questions and answers. So we'll jump right in. So we're talking about the EDD program and educational leadership for social justice at LMU. And we like to start with the question of why choose LMU. We know that there's a lot of EDDs out there. There's a lot of options for people who are interested in advanced degrees in education, but we think that the program that we have at LMU is really special, and part of that is LMU itself. So here on the slide, we have some pieces of the LMU mission, which is the encouragement of lifelong learning and academic excellence, the education of the whole person, and the promotion of service and justice for all. And this mission is something that, is more than something that just lives on a page. It's something that we really do live at LMU. In the doctoral program, we particularly I think, do a good job of this education of the whole person. And hopefully you'll see that through our presentation. But we really do understand that people who are working on an EDD degree are professionals, are people who have lives and careers and lots of other things going on. And we're so excited that you're interested in doing an EDD. So we really do try to look at you as a whole person from the moment of application through the program, and understand kind of who you are, where you're coming from, and meet you where you are in the education. We, of course, do focus very much on the promotion of service and justice for all in the curriculum of the program and in the projects that our students do for dissertation. In addition to that, the School of Education has recently adopted a DEIAJ framework, so diversity, equity, inclusion, anti-racism, and justice framework that is woven into all of our curriculum and pedagogy, and something that the School of Ed and the larger university ascribe to. We are talking about an online program, but LMU is located in Los Angeles, and we find that many of our students are also located in Los Angeles. We're happy to be able to invite our students, regardless of where you are, to come to campus anytime that you'd like for events, to use the library. We hope that people will come to graduation at the end of the program. But being in Los Angeles has benefits as well for our online folks in terms of the types of speakers who come to the campus, the types of events that happen at campus. And because we have so many online programs, the university's made a real effort to make sure that those things are available to our online students as well. So LMU is one of the top 6 private schools in California and one of the top 5 Jesuit universities in the United States. And we're very proud of those stats. And we're particularly excited to be part of the network of Jesuit schools in the United States and across the globe. So then when we think about the LMU EDD program specifically, we've talked a little bit about some of these things, but just to reiterate, we are focused on social justice. Our program was one of the very first to name social justice as part of the title of the program, part of the curriculum of the program. We do take an integrated approach to theory and practice. So again, understanding that you all are advanced practitioners, people who have been working in the field for a very long time. We see our job as equipping you with some new theoretical lenses and tools for enhancing the practice that you're already doing. We do prepare leaders across all sectors. So we have folks who are in PK-12. We have a growing number of students who come to us from higher education and the nonprofit sectors. And we also have a number of people who are focused on community-based education. So are working in after-school programs, are working in service organizations. And we put all of these people together in our cohorts and allow our students to learn from one another from all of these different sectors. We've been around for about 20 years. We're about to celebrate our 20th birthday in 2024. So we have a pretty robust alumni network of about 250 folks out there who are superintendents, principals, policymakers, and working in nonprofit and community organizations as well. Our alumni are really involved and excited to support our current students, and so they are always popping up for guest lectures, for opportunities to learn about the work that they're doing. We have an alumni council that works closely with the program, as well as the LMU School of Ed Alumni Board. I mentioned the commitment to the education of the whole person, and one of the ways that we do this is through our community of support. So we do try very hard to know our students and to meet our students where they are, providing the things that they need to be successful. We have a one-to-one dissertation chair to student ratio. So when you get to the point of writing a dissertation, you will have a faculty member who is familiar with your research and is working closely with you to help you pull off that big research project. When you come into the program, you'll be part of a cohort, again, of that kind of mixture of PK-12 and higher ed and community folks. We have about 18 to 24 students in a typical cohort, and we provide individualized support throughout the program. So whether that's office hours with faculty, individual meetings with faculty, meetings with alums or with other students to get support, we do prioritize that. So even though you're an online student, and sometimes I think that feels a little bit distant, we try and make sure that we know you, you know us, and that you have lots of opportunities to connect. You'll spend a lot of time talking with your faculty, talking with your colleagues, and connecting in the ways that make sense to you. We offer outside of class workshops on professional development topics and on academic development topics. We like to offer writing retreats regularly throughout the semester for any of our students, regardless of what it is that you're writing. We have a brown bag lecture series where we bring in scholars from the university and from neighboring universities. And we offer a number of opportunities to participate in professional development online, and then also to get kind of credit for the professional development that you're doing outside of the classroom. So on one slide here, I'll give you the program highlights. Again, we're talking about an EDD that is 100% online, which means that all of your classes and all of your assessments will take place online. However, you are always welcome to come to campus for events or to any extent that you can, but you will never have to. Right now, it's a 3-year program. You'll be a full-time student doing a 3-year program that consists of 46 credits. We do offer a doctoral scholarship for every student that's admitted into the program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Our program is designed for working professionals, so that shows up as classes that happen in the evening, that happen once a week, a balance of synchronous and asynchronous time in classes. So we do prioritize synchronous time, whether that's office hours or class meetings. You will regularly meet with your faculty and your colleagues in real time, but we do ask our students to do a good portion of the work asynchronously, which means that you can fit it into your schedule when you have time to do it. Our students share research at national and international conferences, and we provide support for students to do that. We have a career and professional development support office at LMU that works closely with our students as they discern their next step in their career and try to get themselves set up for that. We have an amazing library, in person and online. The library has spent a lot of time and money and energy into making sure that it's very accessible for our online students. So you'll have access to more than 53,000 journals and 300 databases via the LMU Hannon Library. They're also great about trying to get all of the books that you will use in your classes for us in ebook form. And right now we're talking about our next entry term, which is in spring 2024. And spring for us begins in January, which I know is not really spring, but we call it spring. So we're talking about a start January 8th of 2024. If you're interested in joining us, our next application deadline to start in January is September 1st. So coming up, but you still have plenty of time to get all of those things together. When you come to us, when you join the program, you will participate in a really robust curriculum that has basically 3 chunks. We have a research core of classes, so you'll take a class called Situated Inquiry to get started that teaches you kind of what educational research is and why we do it. You'll take a qualitative and quantitative research class. We'll get you all set up to do research. You'll take a leadership core that exposes you to social justice leadership theories, moral and ethical leadership, transformational leadership. You'll look at leadership from all different angles. And then we have what I like to call our praxis core. So it's the courses that blend theory and practice. So things like management of fiscal and human capital, which is a really interesting class, how to look at a budget through a social justice lens, something that I don't think many of us think about all the time, but you will after you take that class. Legal and policy issues, using research for educational improvement and equity. And then by the time you get to year 3, you're really focused on your dissertation. And we provide support from the beginning to the end of the dissertation process. You'll take seminars with a group of students and faculty that help you identify your idea, put together your proposal, write your lit review, propose your research, get through IRB, do all of the things that you need to do to pull off the study. Right now we're trying out a new format for our dissertation classes. We're calling a dissertation research community, which means that you move through all of those classes with a small group of about 7 other students and the same faculty member from beginning to end. So we're able to really give you concentrated, focused attention through the dissertation phase. We're super excited that the way that we've done dissertation over the last 20 years has resulted in about a 97% completion rate of the program, which is really, really good in the doctoral world. Most programs have 50% or less of their students actually finishing. So we're really excited that the way that we support our students seems to be working, and the vast majority of our students finish within those 3 years. We have a wonderful faculty that you can work with in our program. There's just a little smattering of the areas of expertise and the names of our folks that are working with us right now. The doctoral program is a School of Ed wide program, which means that we have faculty who teach in the program who come from all 3 of the departments that make up the School of Education. So we have a Department of Educational Leadership and Administration, we have a Department of Teaching and Learning, and we have a Department of Educational Support Services. So that's where our school psychology and school counseling programs are housed. And faculty from all of those different departments teach in the program, making sure that we're able to meet the needs of all of our students. All right, I am going to hand it over to Michaela, who's going to talk to you about the application process and requirements, and tell you everything you need to know.
Sorry about that. I was muted. I'm just saying it's great to see everybody. Thanks for being here today. So if you are looking to apply for this year's admitting cycle, the first thing that you need to have is an earned master's degree. We are also looking for people that have an undergrad GPA of a 3.0 or higher and a graduate GPA of a 3.5 or higher. And it doesn't mean that you have to exactly meet these marks. If you're maybe slightly below those, then you should still apply, because we do take a very close look at the applications overall. So if you're a little bit low in one area, but your application is overall a strong one, then being slightly below those marks wouldn't automatically disqualify you. We are also looking for people that have experience in educational leadership of at least 2 years. And it doesn't mean that you have to be a current superintendent or principal or director of your organization. We are looking for people who can demonstrate that they are leading from whatever chair they are currently sitting in. So when you actually go to apply, LMU utilizes an online application system. So you would fill out the online application, and then you would need to upload a few pieces of additional information. The first would be your statement of purpose, and this is your 2 to 4 page essay where you really make a case of why you want to pursue the EDD program, how this particular program fits into your career plans, why you want to study at LMU in particular, and then also areas of your research interest. And we aren't expecting you to have your topic, your research completely ironed out at this point, but we are looking for you to be able to talk about your general thoughts, what directions you want to go in. And this is helpful for us because it helps us to determine if the program and the faculty that we have available for you to work with will be a good fit for you and your research direction. We're also looking for you to upload your current resume and 2 letters of recommendation. And 1 letter should come from a current supervisor, and the other letter can come from a former supervisor, a former professor, a colleague, someone that you've worked with in the past. And you are actually able to upload up to 3 letters of recommendation, but you only need to provide 2. And how it works is when you are filling out the application, you will be asked to enter in the names and the email addresses of your recommenders, and then they will automatically receive an email from LMU's graduate admissions with instructions on how to upload their letters. So you will not need to be involved in the process besides just providing their name and their email. You also have the opportunity to log back into your application if you need to send a reminder, or if you find out that one of your recommenders actually can't provide a letter, then you can actually go back into your application and submit a different person's name and email. We're also looking for you to provide transcripts for all of your universities and colleges attended, and LMU accepts both electronic and hard copy transcripts. And after the process has been completed and the deadline for admissions has passed, we look at every application received with our admissions committee. We take a very close look, and we identify usually around the top third of applicants to be invited to an interview. And in the past, the interview has consisted of a panel interview virtually with our admissions committee, which consists of some faculty members, and then also a timed writing sample that is proctored, where you would be asked to respond to a writing prompt that is based on a case study that you would be asked to read. And we are currently refining what the interview will look like this year, but that is what it's looked like in the past. And you would be provided ahead of time with what the interview would consist of if you were invited to interview. And I also just want to mention that we currently are still waiving the GRE requirement for our program. So if you have taken the GRE, you are welcome to submit your scores, but they will not be factored into the admissions decisions at this point. This is just a little public service announcement. If you do not reside in California and your state is not on this slide, then it means that California and LMU does not currently have an agreement for LMU to be authorized to offer a degree program that is earned online in your state, which pretty much just means that if you were to earn a degree from LMU, it would not be recognized in your state if your state is not on this slide. And we are adding new states regularly. So if you don't currently see your state, feel free to send us an email and we can check in on the status of that state and let you know if it's one that's been pursued before or one that we are currently still trying to add to our list. So just a recap of our admissions timeline. So the admissions application is the 1st of September. We are going to be doing the admissions interviews in September into October. And then the decisions will be announced in early to mid-November before the Thanksgiving holiday. We always have a virtual online orientation in early December, and then classes will start on January 8th. You're probably wondering how much the program will cost. As Dr. Stevenson mentioned earlier, every student that is admitted into the program currently does receive a doctoral scholarship. And the maximum amount of that scholarship is currently around $30,000 total. So if you were to receive the maximum scholarship, this table just breaks down what that would look like for you based on year. So the first 2 years in the program, you would take, with our current course sequence, you would take 18 units for the first 2 years and then 10 units the last year. And you can see there the estimated cost of tuition for each of those years, and then the estimated scholarship that you would receive if you were to receive the maximum amount. So if you do your research, you will see that our program is very competitive with other ED programs, especially in the California area. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us offline as well. So in addition to the doctoral program scholarship, we also have other scholarships provided in the school education that are sponsored by donors that students have an opportunity to apply for each year. There's also a Catholic school teacher scholarship that is available for students to either teach or are administrators for Catholic schools or organizations, and that would give you an additional $5,000 per year. There's also a Catholic clergy scholarship. And then a lot of students supplement their scholarships with federal Stafford loans. There's also a Graduate Plus loan. And when you're in the program, you are eligible for in-school deferment. And if you have any questions about the financial aid process, you can always reach out to LMU's financial aid office. They can be reached by phone or by email and are always happy to help you. So if you want to go to our website, this is the QR code for our website, and we will leave you with a picture of our graduates.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michaela. All right. Well, that was a lot of information. I'm sure that folks have questions and we're happy to answer them. I think Leticia is going to help us facilitate some question and answer at this point. So I will hand it over to her.
Yes. So it looks like we do have a question in the chat. Is there a range of how much the school SOE scholarships are awarded for?
Yes. So right now we're awarding up to about $30,000 across the course of the 3 years. We take into account financial need as we're making those awards. We've been really fortunate to be able to award our students at about that $30,000 level for the last several years. And so we aim to ensure that the program is affordable for all of our students.
Also, Alejandra would like to see the scholarship slide again, if possible. And all of the students that apply to the doctoral program are considered for the doctoral scholarship. And then we have a question about the percentage of applicants who are accepted, at least traditionally in the past or recently.
That's a really good question. So it does depend on the size of the applicant pool. Like I said, we try to take a cohort of between 18 and 24 each year. So our acceptance rate ranges somewhere between about 20 and 30% most of the time, but it does depend. Some years we get a landslide of applications, and some years we get a smaller pool of applications, but we are shooting for that same number of students every year. This past year we did take 2 cohorts at once, which I think we may do again this coming January. So we're closer to taking about 40 students at a time. So we may be doing that again this year.
Great. And then Patty would like to know if she completed the certificate for Catholic School Administration at LMU. Do you need another copy of transcripts?
That's probably.
So if you did complete any coursework at LMU, you do not need to have your transcripts requested. We will transfer those over. Yes. And then are you saying 100% of accepted applicants received the $30,000 scholarship?
This past year, we were able to do that. We always have to wait and see exactly how much scholarship money we have each year and what our pool is. But like I said, we do try and make sure that all of our accepted students get some percentage of their tuition covered. But it does vary a little bit.
And Anna would like to know what days of the week will the online classes be held in the spring?
Spring 2024. Right now we're offering our online classes on Tuesdays. We are evaluating the calendar right now. So what we've been doing is stacking the classes. So you have had one day a week of class when we had synchronous sessions. So they would always happen on Tuesdays. And one class would be scheduled from 5 to 7 and the next one from 7:30 to 9:30. What we have realized, that worked really well when all of our students were in California, but as we've been getting students who are from other parts of the country, we're realizing that that means some of our students are going to class really very late. So we're in the process of evaluating splitting the classes to 2 different days or alternating them. I mentioned that we do prioritize synchronous time in our classes. And what we've asked faculty to do is to make sure that they're meeting with their students at least every other week. Many faculty meet every week with their students, and sometimes it's a full class session one week and then a small group the next, or office hours the next. So it's flexible. It's not the same as showing up to a 2 or 3 hour class every week at the same time. So we're working that out. It's a little bit more complicated than I think I anticipated. Likely what will happen is that you will have 2 classes that will land on different days, but you still will meet once a week, right? Or maybe there will be some weeks where you have class 2 nights, but we're aiming to have you in class 1 night a week. It just may be a different night, depending on the week. The second night that we're looking at is Thursday. So it would likely be a Tuesday-Thursday schedule.
And we have a great question from Antonio, who would like to know if we can name a few ways in which our espoused values of centering social justice and equity show up in our pedagogy and praxis.
Ooh, that is an excellent question.
Yeah.
Let's see, Michaela, you can help me out here too, because you know the program as well as I do. I would say that one of the key ways is in the dissertation work that we do. So from the very beginning of the program, we have encouraged our students to choose a dissertation topic that is not only linked to their practice, so a problem of practice, but something that is very much linked to a social justice issue that they have identified in their workplace. For many students, that looks like an access question or an issue of inequitable outcomes for different groups of students. So all of our dissertations are online, and you can go and kind of page through those and take a look, but you'll find that most of them are dealing with some sort of effort to improve equity in their classrooms. So the topic is one way. The other way is the support that students get. So as I mentioned, we have about a 97% completion rate, which I think is directly related to the social justice pedagogy that we have. we feel very much like if we take you into the program, it is our responsibility to get you the support you need to get through the program. And so with few exceptions, we have been able to do that. And we know that that looks different for every student. So for some students, it means a very traditional relationship with their advisor where you meet with them periodically and you show them what you've written, and you get a little bit of feedback there. For other students I have worked with, it means that they have my cell phone number and we text every day. And I check in with them to see what they have done. And if they've written 3 sentences, we celebrate that, right? And everything in between. So we do really try and do that whole person learning, and to really understand what people are dealing with. We know that everybody has a different job too. So we have folks who are in the classroom and have that sort of cadence to their day and their school year. We have folks who are superintendents who literally never get a day off. We have people who are directors of organizations who work, 12 months a year. We have all sorts of different ways that people are working in education, and we try very hard to accommodate that. I think the last thing I would say is that the program is a constructivist program, which also syncs up very well with our social justice aims. So the goal is for you to be doing, not for you to be listening to somebody else who has done. To be fair, there are lots of times where you'll be meeting with faculty or with alums or with professionals who will talk to you about the things that they are doing. But the goal is for the majority of time that you are spending engaging with your classes, whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, you're doing something. So it could be actively reading and annotating, it could be writing, it could be doing some sort of activity in a small group, it could be producing a Jamboard that you're going to then present to your group, it could be creating a different type of presentation. But we want to make sure that you're very actively engaging and getting to share your expertise and your interpretation of the work. Does that kind of sound right, Michaela? Anything that I've missed there? No? Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I've taught in this program for about 10 years, so I'm like very excited about it. So sometimes I go on tangents, so I apologize if that was a very long answer to a short question.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. And then Lonel would like to know, do the students select their advisor based on shared interests? And when would the students in the program have to select their chair for their dissertation?
So right now with our dissertation research communities, we do kind of a matchmaking process. So each year I have a number of faculty who commit to taking a dissertation research community, which as I mentioned is about 7 students. And within the dissertation research community, I ask the faculty member to talk to all of the students in the cohort about themselves, the work that they do, the type of research that they feel they have expertise in, and the types of projects that they feel really qualified to support. And then I ask the students to talk to the faculty about the projects that they are interested in doing. And they go through a process we call preliminary review, which is an opportunity to investigate the topic and do a lot of reflection about the work that you've done so far in the program. So between the faculty talking about themselves and the students talking about themselves, I then ask the students to kind of rank the community that they would like to be in. So top choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice. And I try and match people so that they can have commonalities with the faculty who are running the dissertation research community. Sometimes there's a student who has a very, very specific topic and a very, very specific faculty member that they want to work with, and we do try to accommodate that. So even though you would be in a dissertation research community with a faculty lead, sometimes you would have an outside faculty advisor working with you on the dissertation. And we've been able to accommodate that as well. You also have a committee who supports you through dissertation, which is 3 people. So you have a chair and then you have 2 additional committee members. And so even if your chair maybe is like your methodological expert, so somebody who can really help you get the research done, you may have 2 other people who are content area experts on your committee. So it's not just one person supporting you through this process. You actually have 3.
Thank you. And then we have a question about the flexibility in terms of faculty as things might come up in regards to extensions or for the synchronous portion of the courses.
Yeah, I was actually just on the phone with a student about that earlier today because there's a board meeting tonight during our class. So this happens, and we do accommodate. Most of our faculty record all of the synchronous sessions to the extent they can be recorded. If you're in breakout rooms, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But we do record and share the recordings with folks so you can catch up that way. I know the majority of our faculty are very willing to schedule one-on-one meetings with students if you have to miss a class. There is technically an attendance policy for the entire School of Education, but I think we tend to be flexible because we realize that there are some things that you just can't miss professionally, right? And sometimes they happen to be on Tuesday evenings. So you'll find that we get it. And that we tend to be flexible. We do want you in class as much as possible, but we are able to flex most of the time.
Wonderful. And then Cheryl had a question about the diversity of the program in terms of age. She'd like to know if there are any older students in the program.
Yeah, I would say we have a great range of students. I think our youngest student in the program right now is about 26, and our oldest student is in their 70s, I would say, and is sort of nearing retirement, but has always wanted to do this and is doing it now. And I've definitely had students at all different stages of their lives and careers, and we absolutely love that because people come with just different experiences, different expectations, different ways of being, and we learn a lot from one another.
Yes, that's incredible. And I know one of the things that makes this program stand out, and I think that you both are passionate about, is wanting to make the cohorts as diverse as possible with each applicant pool that comes in.
Yes, absolutely. We try and really make sure that we have a good diversity of people in terms of race and ethnicity, in terms of age, in terms of gender, in terms of sexuality. We try and really balance that. Also in terms of religious diversity. So you don't have to be Catholic to be in this program, and we have lots of folks who are and who are not, and we welcome everybody to be part of the program.
Amazing. Antonio would like to know if there are any established affinity groups that students are able to engage with outside of virtual classes.
That is a good question. At the graduate level, I know that there are a number of affinity groups for different groups of students. We have a Black Student Union, I believe is what it's called. We have groups for LGBTQ students. We have a group for Latina students, and I know they're growing, and I know that they are, for the most part, probably hybrid, so welcoming online students, but also doing on the ground activities as well, because a lot of the graduate programs at LMU are on campus, and the School of Ed is kind of leading the way in the online space. We also love when our students start things like that. So our alumni council was led by alumni who wanted to have that, and we're very happy to support that. So building out groups for students is definitely something we would love to see happen.
And then I know you touched on this a little bit, Dr. Stevenson, but if you could elaborate a little bit more about electing to work with faculty, would it be possible to work with faculty from a different university? This is from Mauritius.
Yeah, I'm just reading that question. That's a great question. So, like I mentioned, you have a dissertation committee, and that's 3 people. We typically require that your chair be somebody from the School of Ed at LMU. And that's because they're familiar with the requirements of the dissertation and are able to help you navigate the whole process. The other 2 folks, you have a little more flexibility. So as I mentioned, they are often your content area, one of your content area experts. And one person, the second person, is typically another faculty member from LMU. So probably from the School of Education, but could be from a different department or a different school or college at LMU. And then the third person, we typically encourage students to have that be an outside member. So that could be a practitioner who's working in the field that you're in. It could be a scholar from a different university. It could be a practitioner scholar, somebody who is able to support you in that area. So I think in this case, that faculty member who could support you around the language, the Creole language, could be the third member of your dissertation committee. Everybody's committee is a little bit different in the kind of balance of who does what, and we do leave that up to the student to make sure that it's working for them. So happy to help with those negotiations, but we know that everybody has different relationships and different needs with their committee. So we have folks whose third committee member, technically the third person who's the outside member, kind of becomes the key member of the committee, where the chair is more responsible for methodology or something like that. And then we have other folks who have a close relationship with their chair, and then they see their other 2 committee members at their defenses, and that's about it. And really, it just is what the student needs to get the work done.
Thank you. And then Taryn has a question about the Career and Professional Development Center for transitioning into different roles post-graduation. I can say that our Career and Professional Development Office is one of our most utilized resources on campus. We have wonderful career coaches who can meet with you, review your resume, conduct mock interviews, negotiate salary. They also host career fairs. So you do have access to them, as well as our sort of our internal LinkedIn network of alumni of over 100,000 Lions who are frequently connecting with our current students, reaching out to them, posting employment opportunities, things of that sort as well.
We also offer, as part of the doctoral colloquium, a number of professional development workshops. And in the past, like, those have been things like preparing a conference proposal, where we have some faculty who are really, looped into the conference world, present a workshop on how to submit the best proposal, and that can really help you to get accepted to a conference. And those are really great places to network, especially if you want to get into the higher ed world. So that would be a great opportunity for PD. We have also had sessions with members from our CPD team at LMU, and they can offer workshops on things like how to utilize LinkedIn for job searching or networking, or how to really utilize your own professional network to aid in your job search. So we are always looking for ways to assist students with their growth, both academically and professionally, as well as personally too.
And yes, these opportunities are available virtually as well. I know the Career and Professional Development Office does conduct meetings with students via Zoom.
Yeah, we've since going online, so um, well, our timeline for our online program got a little mushy because of COVID, but we launched it in 2021, right, Michaela? Was our first cohort. Was So we've been running this program now for several years, and at that time, when we were planning the online program and launching it, we made sure that the university was very clear about our need and our intention to make sure that everything that is available to on-campus students is available to our online students. So the different offices and groups on campus have been really accommodating and really wonderful as we've ventured into that. As I mentioned, the School of Ed is kind of leading the way in online learning at LMU, and we now have a good proportion of our programs throughout the School of Ed online. So it's not just the doctoral program who's online, which means that there's a lot more resources available to all of the online students.
Okay, and then in terms of research, is there room to new interests, or are there predetermined areas for research?
We don't have predetermined areas for research. We invite students to research the things that are interesting and salient to them. I used the phrase problem of practice before, which is kind of a phrase that comes out of the EDD world. So looking at the issues that come up with you as a professional, right? So whether that's an equity issue, an access issue, a outcomes issue, and we know you know how to address it as a professional. We want to give you the scholar lens. So how do you apply data to this problem, right? How do you use research to help you figure out the solution to the problem? And how does that enhance your practice? So we know that the problems are different depending on where you're working and the population of students and professionals that you're working with. So we invite you to bring all your problems to the doctoral program and we'll help you solve them. That's kind of how we do it. We do find that things cluster, right? Because unfortunately there are problems that are persistent in education. And so you likely will have a couple of folks in your cohort who are interested in similar topics, unless you're doing something really cutting edge and new, which we also love. But we found that there tends to be similar problems happening in different, even if you're in different areas of the country or the world. So you do have some support there. We're looking for people who are interested in lots of stuff. AI, like we welcome all of that. We've been doing more and more technology and media things, which I love because that's my area. We really are looking to push the envelope in the work that our students are doing, and they bring it. So we love that.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Let's see, what would typically be the number of hours of study during the week? That's another good question, Margie. I would say when you are taking, so most of the time you'll be taking 2 classes at once, and I would probably dedicate ballpark 8 to 10 hours per class to get all of your reading and writing and studying and everything done. That's spread out over some time, over a week or so, not 8 to 10 hours a day, but you do have a rigorous amount of work, but again, it's fairly flexible. And we try to lay everything out for you at the beginning of the semester so that you can make some choices about how you're going to do things.